Welcome to the F+L podcast. Our guest today is David Barnett. Currently, his position at Master Fluid Solutions is Senior VP and General Manager for North America. Welcome to F+L Webcast, David.
Thank you, Vicky. I'm happy to be here.
That's great. So let's start the interview by asking you a little bit about yourself. You now have a North American role, but in the past, you actually had a global role within Master Fluid Solutions. So when was this shift? When did it occur?
So yeah, I've always been based in North America, but I've actually held a few global roles for Master Fluid Solutions. Just about a year ago, we went through a restructuring as we grew as a business and divided the company into 4 different business units. So we have our home headquarters here in North America, which I'm now leading. And then we have a business unit in Europe, China, and then another APAC business unit that serves the rest of Asia outside of China.
And Master Fluid, what do you produce and what do you sell? And basically, what industries do you serve?
Sure. So we are, a specialty chemical manufacturer. We are focused on lubricants for machining and grinding, for metalworking. We have a line of products that are primarily water-based that go into every industry from automotive to aerospace, general industrial, and then we also have a product line that's for the stamping and forming, pipe and tube manufacturing that we acquired a few years ago, the Wedelit product line that was based in Germany.
And during this time, David, not only geographically have you held different positions, but you've also held different roles, right? You started as in the training division of Master Fluid?
Yeah, 30 plus years ago, as a young professional, I actually came from a training and development background, and I joined Master helping put on seminars for our end users and our distributors who sell and service our products. So it was a great foundation to learn about the company, to learn about the industry. And from there, I went into sales roles, business development roles, and ultimately into product management and marketing, which was my first global role, is working with our teams around the world on our product portfolio, our go-to-market strategies. And then as we continued to grow, I moved into an operations and supply chain role, which I think is really kind of what we're talking about today. It was good timing to learn about supply chain well ahead of the pandemic, but we kind of set the foundation with our sales and operation planning process. We brought in some good people at our different units around the world that have really helped us kind of navigate the past few years with the supply chain challenges.
And I was going to say you've done a bunch of roles, and 30 years. What would you say have been the largest changes that you've seen in the industry?
Yes. So, I will say from my perspective, one phenomenon we see is consolidation. So if we look at, who the major players are, there's been a lot of M&A activity, both, at every step in the supply chain. So from our suppliers to our competitors to the distribution network that we sell through. So that consolidation has been a big impact on the industry.
Tell us about the specific challenges you encountered during the pandemic and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so, the biggest challenge, right, was, first of all, keeping our people safe. So that's always our top priority as a privately held company who feels that we're successful because of our people and our culture and the way we operate as a business. Our first step was taking actions to keep our people safe and healthy. We did things like split teams where not everybody was in the building at the same time. And that was the same around the globe. We had people working from home whenever possible. So that was our first step. And then once we got past that and knew that we had to continue to manufacture because we were essential to our customers, to their ability to produce products that were needed, whether it was, medical supplies to fight the pandemic, or whether it was just, getting the economy going after the pandemic. We knew we had to continue to supply our customers. So that was our first focus. And then, as the economy returned, as things started to open up, we had things like the freeze in Texas that interrupted the supply of raw materials to us. We had logistics challenges, whether it was availability of containers and delays at ports, or just extended lead times from trucking companies and suppliers. So that was a challenge. Our products, like much of the people listening, our lubricants are big and bulky and tough to move around. So those ocean-going containers are important to us. It's not easy to FedEx or DHL a product overnight. We have to rely on these ships and the ports. So, we were fortunate that we had manufacturing locations around the world that could continue to serve the customers locally there, and we didn't have to worry about a lot of international logistics, except for some critical raw materials.
So one of the things that you pointed out in your article about lessons from the pandemic is basically local sourcing or reshoring. Tell us what experiences you can share in that area.
So, because we've always tried to follow our customers and be close to them, because the long lead times are really wasteful, expensive, time consuming. So we've tried to put manufacturing closer to our customers, with our plants in China, India, Thailand, and other arrangements that we have. We've always tried to be close. The thing that wasn't always there for us was the supply base. We couldn't guarantee that we could get the same materials or the same materials at the highest level of quality that we require. So we've worked hard at that by working with our suppliers to build out the capability to purchase raw materials closer and then qualify those through our labs.
So typically, David, one formulation, how many components would that have?
Yeah, unfortunately, our formulations tend to be complex. They're water-based products. They have to be multifunctional. So it's not unusual to have anywhere between 10 and 25 components in a formulation, to deliver the performance that our customers expect.
So that's quite a bit.
It is. And, you can have 24 of those components, but if you don't have the 25th, you can't manufacture it. So, that's put some stress on our supply chain and procurement groups.
Now, your manufacturing plants in Asia, would one country specialize in a certain product, or would they be basically like doing the same thing, supplying to a specific customer in that country?
Yeah, they would all produce very similar products. The mix of products might change depending on the local market's requirements and the list of customers that we have in that region. But for the most part, they are the majority water-based metalworking fluids. Some stamping and forming fluids. A lot of rust preventatives. Obviously, that's important in Asia, given the climate, and as products get, finished goods get transported to the ultimate end user.
No, shipping is, although you manufacture regionally, shipping still has to occur at some point. And that's been a particular challenge, not just to you, but to everyone.
kind of as the pandemic happened, those shipping containers weren't necessarily in the location where they needed to be as manufacturing started back up. So, that was kind of the first issue. And then it was just availability, really the law of supply and demand. There was a lot of demand in one particular part of the world and not enough supply. So that drove costs up. We saw the cost of container going between North America and Asia go up 3 to 5 times what had been pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an issue. We saw the lead times go up where we had to air freight materials that nobody wants to air freight from one location to the next to make sure that we kept customers running.
How do you normally ship your products? Do you ship them in drums or do you ship them in IBCs?
Both drums and IBCs. The majority still gets moved via drums, but that IBC business continues to grow.
And wow, air freighting something is going to be very expensive, especially if a lot of it is fluid, right? And then
Right.
Basically lubricants are a little bit touchy too because there's labeling issues. Uh, do you see that as a problem that came up, or basically the airline said no, it's safe enough to put it on
Oh,
board?
oh no, yeah, we had plenty of issues with that and lots of phone calls and conversations with customs agents and making sure that they had the right information. One of our focuses has always been on health and safety. So, we have a global leader here in Perrysburg, Julie Thomas, that works with our teams around the globe to ensure that we're compliant, that we have the proper labeling. But,
Mm-hmm.
the airlines and the customs agents who handle it, aren't necessarily familiar with our types of products. So there ends up being a lot of education along the way and helping them understand that, yes, the product is properly labeled. Yes, it is safe for transit. So it just requires a little extra hand holding on our part.
Would you say the crisis is over, or is it still going on, the supply
Oh, I
chain
think
crisis?
we're gonna see ripples from this for a long time. We've seen kind of starts and stops, right? Things get better. The supply of materials gets better, and then as we work to quickly fulfill orders, we get an interruption again or a delay in logistics. So I think we've got a year plus before things get back to normal, if there ever is a pre-pandemic normal again. Because I think things are changing systematically, right? People are doing things different. Just like we talk about trying to localize wherever possible. Manufacturers are trying to shorten their supply chain. The just-in-time model really isn't working anymore. We need to be more agile and react to the changing environment and changing customer needs. So, I don't know as we ever go back to the way it was before, but hopefully it gets a little more stable as we move through 2023.
Well, just in time worked for more than 20 years, right?
Right,
And then it didn't work.
right.
So uh, all it takes is a pandemic to change the way we've been doing business for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I think right, we could go back to just in time. We might be able to get there, but I think it's just opened a lot of eyes that there are inherent risks to that model, right? It could be a pandemic, it could be a hurricane like we're seeing hitting Florida. It could be droughts in Europe that dry up the rivers that are used for transportation of material. There's plenty of risks out there. So I think people are trying to figure out how do they make their supply chains more, as I said, nimble and reactive to a changing global economy.
Yeah, and it looks like, David, people are talking about globalization being dead and regionalization or localization coming to the fore. Do you agree with that idea that people are less into globalization nowadays because of what's just occurred in the last 2.5 years?
Yeah, I really don't. I think it's still a global economy. We're just too connected, right? The flow of information, the flow of materials, we're not going to close those walls off. We're still going to be a global economy, but we're going to change things so we can better, maybe be more self-sufficient in a particular region. But it's a free market. Things are going to shift over time, and you can't do one thing in one region and something completely different in another region, because that flow of information is there, so people understand what's going on.
Yeah, and basically just in time was an innovation by the Japanese automotive industry, and the idea behind it is reduce inventory, reduce cost. And it looks like today the emphasis is less on cost reduction and more on just having enough material to supply your plant and keep it running. And a lot of automotive, especially in the automotive sector, that's been a real challenge, and still is a challenge.
I expect it's going to be a pendulum, right? Just in time maybe went too far. We can't have excess inventories and inefficiencies everywhere, so we have to find this happy medium. But yeah, JIT, has really impacted the auto manufacturers. First of all, the chip shortage really impacted the manufacturers. The latest article I just read was that Ford, here in the U.S., their top selling vehicle is the Ford F-150 pickup truck. They should have everything focused on that and being able to produce it. The last thing that shut down their ability to ship trucks is they couldn't get the blue Ford Oval to put on the front of the truck. That they had supply chain issues with that, so they actually stopped shipping trucks because of that.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Where was it made is the question.
Right. Yeah. They don't share those details, but I just thought that was amazing that could stop the shipment of automobiles.
But we actually have bigger challenges than just missing a logo on the front of your truck, right? It's actually electrification is a very big challenge for not only the automotive industry, but the entire, I would say, the entire world. I mean, are we really going to electrify? And if we are, what kind of impact would that have on your products, your company, and and the future of your business?
It's going to affect a lot of manufacturers around the globe. It's certainly going to affect lubricant manufacturers like us. I'm not sure of the timeline. I think there will be more and more EV vehicles. I don't think there's any doubt to that. We've seen different predictions on when mass adoption of EV vehicles will happen, and I think it varies depending on governmental policies and incentives and manufacturers' commitments to EVs. But it's going that way. So we're going to see the machining and grinding related to internal combustion engines decrease. It'll still be out there for the foreseeable future, but it's certainly going to be on the decline. And we'll see that shift to other types of products. There's still the suspension products, the forming tied to body panels and things like that will still happen, but there's going to be more emphasis on the electrical systems, on the batteries, on the EV fluids for cooling those batteries and electrical systems, and then mining. So yeah, we won't be mining as much oil and gas maybe, but we'll be mining a lot more lithium and other minerals that are required for the batteries. So mining equipment producers are going to see their business continue to grow.
Would this mean that Master Fluid's business model, even its the products that it sells today, has to change?
To some degree, but that's always been the case for us. we feel like we win through innovation. We have to make our customers' manufacturing process more efficient, help them make sure their machines last long, that their operators are safe. So that basic philosophy and business model doesn't change. It just changes the product definition of what types of products we need to produce to support those customers. So, we'll continue to invest in new products, new technologies, and we'll grow where our customers are growing. One of our focuses is aerospace. So we've invested a lot in going through the approval process for aerospace. It's very stringent. There's a lot of requirements, but we kind of understand what test methods are required, what product characteristics, what chemical composition is acceptable. And that knowledge and that understanding is going to help us, whether it's in growth in aerospace industry, the electronics industry, or EV vehicles.
How different, David, are the needs of the aerospace industry compared to the automotive industry, where, being based in Ohio, a big part of your business would, at least in North America, would be for the automotive industry?
It is a big portion supports the automotive industry, but we have a significant portion of our business tied to aerospace, and actually, Ohio was the home of the Wright brothers, so there's a big aerospace history here in Ohio, and we have. Again, we're a global business, so we have relationships with Boeing and Airbus and others. The biggest issue there is they focus on reliability and material integrity, because when you build a plane, you want it to last for a long time. You don't want unexpected surprises. So, the focus there is on how do we make sure that the parts that they machine and grind are of the highest integrity, that the lubricants that come in contact with them only help, they don't hurt that material integrity. So there's a lot more testing required in producing a product for aerospace than there is for automotive or general industrial.
Yeah, except for the pandemic, the projection for the travel industry and even cargo and anything air related was really very impressive. And I guess now demand is picking up, so people feel like it's getting back to normal. But do you see it that way right now, that the aerospace industry has picked up? Because it seems like the automotive industry, to a certain degree, has started to pick up, and it's just really the hiccup in supply chain that's been really hindering them to going full blast.
Yeah, no, certainly the aerospace business is picking up. And I know, as we go through our budgeting process and work with our customers on theirs, they see, demand only continuing to grow as we move into next year. So aerospace will definitely continue to grow. I think it gets back to that globalization, that it's a global economy. It's not going anywhere. So people want to fly from one region to the next, and even more travel within a region. If you look what's going on in China and APAC, people are just more mobile in general. So that means there's more planes, more flights, which means manufacturers are having to produce more parts.
Yeah, and I guess before we close off, David, I'm just wondering your experience in Asia, especially. How different is this region from your perspective compared, for example, to Europe and North America? What makes this region different from all of them?
I think the biggest thing is the rapid, I guess, maybe maturing of the industry, right? That there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more, I would say there's probably a lot more innovation happening in Asia than there is the rest of the world. And I think that comes from the competition, right? There's a lot of bright people. There's a lot of very entrepreneurial people. that are constantly looking for a better way to do something. So with that higher level of competition comes innovation. So I think that forces all of us, whether you're a global manufacturer like us or a local manufacturer, to respond quickly and, put your best products and best service offering forward in Asia.
And finally, last question. I saw on LinkedIn that Master Fluid is looking for a lot of people, especially in North America. How do you sell young people to joining our industry? How
Yeah.
do you make it attractive for people to choose lubricants over other industries?
Yeah, it's not the most glamorous industry, it's never on the top of anybody's list unless you happen to be have a history of lubrication and maybe somebody in your family that's worked in one of these companies. So for us, it's talking about doing the right things, how you treat your people, how you treat your customers. Our basic philosophy is living by the golden rule, treating others how you want to be treated. And that means helping make others successful. And I think the pandemic, of all the negative things that happened, it did highlight a little bit about how important manufacturing is to all of us, or wherever we are around the world. So we are seeing some interest. There's a big maker movement that we talk about here, where young people are looking to create creative things. You have stories like Elon Musk, that's just become this huge success with Tesla and doing things differently. So I think that opens some eyes that people can actually go out, help make something that's physical that helps the world, and that's intriguing to people instead of working in a service industry or something that there's not as much tangible with what you do every day. So that's what we talk about. So people are going to choose whether they want to go that path or not. And there's people like me that have seen the difference it's made in the lives of our customers, in the lives of our employees in different parts of the world, and really are committed to continuing to advance the lubrication industry.
And you've had an exciting job. You've traveled all over the world. I mean, right now you're focused on North America, but you still, have to deal with your teams all over the world. And,
Yeah.
what's your takeaway from that? I mean, did you expect this when you joined the company back
I
in the
did
90s?
not. No, I've been places that I would have never imagined going. And manufacturing doesn't always happen in those glamorous places, but there's still very interesting places with a lot of history and culture, especially in Asia and Europe, as my job has taken me there. And it's exciting. You get to meet people from different backgrounds, but in the end, we're all very similar. We're doing what it takes to take care of our family and be, safe and healthy and happy. And, so that's the joy in that global travel, is working with the people around the globe and seeing their lives get better.
Yes. And really, David, I have to say personally, it's people like you that really make a difference. I mean, I've seen how, in your role as the chairman of the ALIA professional subcommittee, the time you devoted in making sure that we deliver uh, education courses to our members, free of charge, because basically it's not a paid job.
Right.
So you have to do it on your own time, right?
Well, it's important, and I came from that training and development background. I like to think of myself as a lifelong learner. You have to continue to learn. So, I want other people to have those same opportunities, and it's important to me. So I know others have helped me out along my way. I want to help out as many people as I can.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, David, for your time, and we really appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you again sometime, maybe at the next ILMA meeting.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And thank you, Vicky. You certainly, provide a lot of information that all of us use in our daily lives. So thanks for giving me this forum and continuing to share information with the industry.
Thank you, David. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.